The turnover battle was quite even, but the stoppage battle wasn't. And that's where the game was. I mean, outside of the first 10 minutes of the game, we had a game to forget in a way. Like, we haven't played as poorly as that in a long, long time. And credit for that goes to the Gold Coast Suns. I'm not sitting here saying it was just us. They were on and we were off.
Yeah. Round 1, 2023. The Brisbane Lions handed in an absolute stinker against Port Adelaide. And that was probably the last time we played that badly. The Giants game last year was up there. And then even the Easter Thursday game against Collingwood this year was pretty bad, but not as bad as we were on the weekend. The Suns were good. And if you want to put it in, easy terms that anyone could understand, they just wanted it more. We absolutely phoned this one in, Patrick. And the scoreboard will tell you exactly how it went. And if you look at the stats, anything in the middle went the way of the Gold Coast Suns. They beat us on the inside, they beat us on the outside, they beat us in the air, they beat us on ground level, and even though it was absolutely pissing down, they still couldn't bloody miss in front of goals. I don't know what it is about us, but teams just love kicking deadly accurate in front of us. So, yeah, it was... And this is a word I like to use. It was pus. Having said that, I'm happy to write this one off, and I'm more interested to see how we respond next week against Collingwood.
Pus probably is an accurate, descriptor, I got to say. Not good. Not good. But, they got belted the week before, so... it happens. Sometimes, although, that said, it happens. It hasn't happened to us, I think, since late in the year in 2018. That was our worst beating. And I think the worst score against since 2017, so that's a long time.
Yeah.
Not a good time to happen. And obviously, it didn't end well for Sydney last year. They got belted by Port Adelaide by over 100 points, but they still beat them quite handily in a preliminary final. So, obviously, we don't want to model that, but, it's not the end of the world. Good first 10 minutes.
Yep, it was great. And I think Hugh McCluggage exclusively kicked on his left foot for that first 10 minutes and happened to find targets. Yeah, as I said, I'm happy to write this one off. It is a mulligan. We should have seen it coming, though, as well. We beat the Suns up earlier in the year. They got absolutely embarrassed last week. They were always going to come out firing. Having said that, we were embarrassed by Collingwood earlier in the year. We got, the shit kicked out of us on the weekend. Hopefully that means we're answering next week. Can you tell I'm already looking forward to next week?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to kind of make mention, I have been very positive about looking forward to this group of games going through towards the end of the year. And I didn't say that under the caveat that we would play the worst we've played in 8 years. I thought it would be genuinely compelling football. But I mean, was the round saved by that game at the end? I don't know, because I didn't watch it. I was not going to partake into the heaven and hell clash because they're two teams I just could not care less about. But that might have saved football.
Yeah, there was a lot of blowouts this week. Geelong did a number on North. Adelaide did a number on Port. A couple of games looked like they were going to go that way for a while. Like GWS and Sydney was looking pretty dicey for a while as well. Hawthorn Carlton actually didn't turn out to be that bad. But I feel like Carlton just they give you the L.
They give you the W. They take the L themselves. I have a question. Do we have to refer to each other as by our first names exclusively?
Oh, please, let's talk about this. What the fuck was that?
I don't know, James. What's going on?
That was so strange. And the strangest bit was everyone referring to Kingy as David, and then you don't realise how much it's like Brownie, Lynchy, Joey, Dicko, so many nicknames floating around. Now everyone's calling each other by their first name. I don't know what the hell HR meeting happened during the week at Fox, but it was very strange. Very strange.
Well, with the West Australia one, you had Adam Papalia and Adam Simpson, so you had Adam and Adam.
Mm-hmm. Good. Not Simo and Paps.
No. So weird hearing like Hutto called Anthony. I think that it's an absolute cop-out that they're not calling Dwayne Russell Shane, because that is his first name, for anyone that doesn't know. His name is actually Shane, not Dwayne. Now, I don't understand why you're changing Shane to Dwayne. That's not an upgrade. It's possibly going backwards, and it's at best a side grade. So, we all know how I feel about Dwayne Russell, but, what the fuck?
Honestly, I don't know if someone has complained. It's like, I've got a nickname, I don't like it, so they've gone, all right, blanket rule, no nicknames. I don't know if it's like, hey, we need to sound more professional. We've got the Saturday games. We want to try and get new viewers in. They don't do this in America, or something like. I've got no idea, but I hate it.
So a theory I heard was it's to do with the takeover of the new company, and them possibly not understanding. Like, can you imagine if Dipper was doing commentary and you're calling him Robert?
Yeah.
But, we know that commentary is generally a bit of a bugbear of mine. And I got to admit, listening on Thursday night to the Hawthorn and Carlton game, I realised what it is I actually like more about Channel 7 commentary compared to Fox. And it's that the special comments guys barely talk. Like, they say a couple of things, but I think they had like Kane Corns and some other person, Richardson maybe. And there were minutes that went by where they weren't talking. Whereas you go to the other ones and you've got Gary Lyon, Dunstall. I don't mind Dunstall, but sometimes he just waffles on. You've got all of the special comments guys on Fox just talking all the time. They talk more than the play-by-play guys, and that is not how you commentate. So I figured it out. That's the reason. If you're tired of special comments guys talking all the time, you've got to deal with BT or James Brayshaw. I'm sorry, but for me, that's preferable to the waffling, negative, fun insanity of the Fox guys on the whole. So, can you tell we don't want to talk about our game?
I know, we should. All right, let's go to the changes, because there were two. Bruce got dropped. Sammy Marshall held his spot. We were all happy for that. We thought, yay, he might get a full game here. Wrong. Connor McKenna came in. Sam Day still held in the twos. We still went with the two rucks. And there was another change. What was the other change? Oh, yeah, Zach Bailey came back in as well. So, yeah, Sammy Marshall started as a sub. He got a bit more game time this week because Connor McKenna went off with that hamstring after 2 touches. And I know you've got a bit of a theory about that whole situation, but it was disappointing to see Sammy not get a full game.
So it's not a theory, it's just more like it's talking to the logic, and I said it doesn't necessarily mean that it's good logic. But McKenna came in ostensibly as a small forward to cover for Lohmann. So in order to get Marshall a full game as like the Bailey position, you would then have to push Bailey into the forward line, and I think they were just trying to go for the least amount of shuffle as possible, whilst then trying to insert Marshall into the game later in wherever kind of running position sort of would have worked when they'd kind of got a bit of a flow for the game. So it's the sort of thing where I think, I mean, Fags mentioned it in his press conference afterwards, which I did listen to this week, that McKenna's selection was reward for effort in the twos. So I think
he had a blinder the week before.
Yeah, I think it's an element where Will McLaughlin has been down on form a little bit in the twos, probably for the last like 3 or 4 weeks, give or take. I'd
still put him in before Connor.
Yeah, well, they didn't. So
yeah.
So that was the way that they were thinking, which still sucks, always sucks. But I suppose you look at it in the sense of if Lohmann had been there, then it wouldn't have made any difference anyway. Plus, also, we're talking about stuff that would not have altered the effect of this game one iota.
No.
So,
On the other hand, the Suns made a host of changes. They finally went down to 2 tall forwards, and I wonder if the weather played into that at all. They brought in obviously a bigger-bodied mid in Al Davies, who...
Is he that guy that looks like he's like an enforcer for the Yakuza?
Yes, well, he is. I think he's Japanese heritage, Alex Davies.
Well,
but yeah.
I was like, I've never seen... There's 2 guys I'd never seen before. There's always more than that for Gold Coast, but there were 2 guys. Him... I was like, who is this guy? He's definitely murdered someone for the Yakuza in the past. And also that, like, long-haired, rangy forward that I was, and he's coming in playing an absolute blinder. And you're like, well, they're taking the piss here.
Yeah, I think it was both of their... Farah might have played a game earlier this year, but I think that was Al Davies.
No, Farah hadn't played since 2013, not 2013, 2023. So he'd had more than a year out, and he's like running around like a giant gazelle.
Yeah. Well, Al Davies did a bit of a job on Dunkley, so I don't know how tight the role that Dunkley had on Rao was. The numbers would suggest not at all, but Al Davies was there to certainly disrupt that whole situation, and Anderson got off the chain as well. I mean, their midfield just absolutely monstered us, and. It was a poorer game by some of our guys as I've seen for a while by some of them. I don't know why the coaches didn't watch Jumpin' Jeff White's video autopsy on how Dunkley broke Rowell and forced him to not even play at the contest in the reverse fixture early on in the year. Why didn't they watch that? Just to be like, oh, this is what we did. It killed the guy's confidence. Yeah. But much like the rest of their team, they weren't going to let it happen again. And they like that much was clear. They were physical. There was obviously it's a Q clash. There's a little bit of spice, not as much as there has been. I am genuinely surprised Ainsworth didn't get a week. Not that I thought he should have got a week, but I thought if Bailey's getting a week, then obviously Ainsworth gets a week. Like that makes sense to me. But
yeah, that's kind of. I think I said it when it happened live. I'm like, well. It warranted the same reaction of a guy just like touching his face, and the potential to cause injury. I don't think last week we didn't talk about the Stephen May thing, did we?
No, because it wasn't sort of done at that stage.
Yeah, I thought it was tripe, and I thought it's David King's worst take he's potentially ever had. And I was a little bit disappointed that Caro kind of echoed that on Agenda Setters. I didn't agree with her at all. I don't know what
Kingy's
someone
been
can do.
pretty consistent, though, on anything head high. He's like, head high, he's got to go. Because he's seen his mates, and then, the effects it's had down the line. And
Does David King even have mates?
Well, he's got to have some.
Serious question.
Yeah, no, he's been pretty consistent on anything head high that it needs to be rubbed out, and we need to send a message and all that sort of gear. So I'm not surprised he took that stance, and I can't stand Steve May. He's
a massive grub.
Yeah,
but it's a bit like the Maynard Brayshaw one where it's like, were they trying to do something? And it's like, absolutely not. The guy he's got these giant shoulders, and he tries to almost bring him in, and it's like, well, he can't because he's too barrel-chested. So anyway, that was last week. I think that shouldn't have got 3 weeks. Someone asked talked about it and asked about the Tristan Cherry one, and I think that's a bit like you're a big ruckman trying to get the ball. I think it's so different from the Nash one earlier in the year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But apparently what we learned from the Zach Bailey one is the tribunal does not care about precedent or anything like that, or similar ones or anything. They may look at them, but they don't have to care about them. So Jasper Fletcher took a pretty good mark.
He did. And that, that's our perfect introduction to this week's top 3, because that is one of mine. Jasper Fletcher's mark. And although it came, that's number 1. Although it came under worst circumstances potentially ever for your first AFL goal, I'm glad Sammy Marshall got a goal, but I think if you had your choice of, how do you want to kick your first goal in the AFL, free kick for a dubious, deliberate rush is probably
that wasn't dubious at all. That was he invited pressure, and that's exactly what the rule is there for. If you fumble, and then you bring the ball, it's 100% if that is paid every time, you'll get no complaints from me. So,
yeah, but they don't pay it every time, I guess.
they should pay it every time. But yeah, Mac Andrew taking the piss. So that was good. I forgot about the segment because I got to admit,
it was hard. It was hard to pick three. So those are my first two, and my third favorite moment from this week was the fact that I didn't drive down to the Gold Coast to sit in the pissing rain to watch my team pull that in. So
can I say that? Yeah, I'll go the Starcevic one. Sorry, not the Starcevic one. Anything not involving Starcevic possibly is there. Yeah, Fletcher, and I'm going to say the siren for the third and fourth quarters, just to keep it simple. Yeah, it wasn't good. We were pretty perky for the first 10 minutes. I think we took maybe won 5 clearances, and then I think we didn't win any for the next 2.5 quarters. Virtually, not literally. And then this is something that happened against Collingwood that happened in this where, and now I'm not going to blame umpires, but there was some pretty weird non-holding the ball things that happened that then resulted in goals, and we didn't really recover from that. And now that's happened in both the Collingwood and this game, where we've been like, that's rubbish. And it's like, just get on with it and win the ball in the middle and score. The other thing that I just can't, we've mentioned it. It's like, would it kill a team to kick badly at any point against us? Like, teams are either kicking so well that they're blowing the game out against us in this case, or they're kicking so well that they're able to stay in the game forever. Put it this way. They had 11 more scoring shots than us. The week before, we had 10 more than the Bulldogs. And I know there were some out on the fulls and whatever, give or take. But the way that it is... And what was it, 70-point margin or something?
It was 11 goals. Yeah.
11 goals, so 66 points versus we had, a 10-point margin. It's like cosmic intervention and insanity has to run out at some point in time. It has to. But even if it had, this wouldn't really matter. But the midfield just didn't do enough.
They were so flat-footed at every contest. And
it was the midfield. So our ground ball was terrible, both across the board, across the entire field. Our ground ball was awful, and Gold Coast were playing like they were with a dry ball. They had guys roosting the ball from outside 50, midway through the quarter, kicking goals and snaps. And it's it's a wet ball. How is this possible? Anyway, put that one in the notebook for shit and move on. Do you want to talk about anything else about that? Because I don't really want to. And we had a really long episode last week. I think we could probably do with a slightly shorter one this week.
Eric Hipwood's mung goal was funny. Harris had a nightmare. That is the worst game I've seen Brandon Starcevic play in a long, long time. Probably ever. And, geez, more reports last week of West Coast now back in the hunt, sniffing around, all that sort of stuff. The other thing we should probably talk about is Link McCarthy. We've sort of ignored that whole situation. He was slated to come back in about 4 or 5 weeks' time. I think August 17 was the date they put on a VFL game for him. He's pulled the pin on that and said, "No, I'll get right for next year because it looks like we're going to offer him another year's contract," which is great news. And nice
takes the pressure off a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. He doesn't have to scramble to try and save his career and do any more drastic things. So,
do you think they could not have told him that before he did the experimental surgery?
Well, we probably weren't sure we were going to offer him one then, I would have thought.
Yeah. I guess. It just feels a little bit insincere, doesn't it?
You're
doing all this good job. It's okay, you've shown this really good intent, so we'll give you that little carrot at the end of the stick. And it's the dude's blown out 2 knees, having been literally immovable for us for 5 years. So
yeah, well, I think maybe that means that we we might be saying goodbye to Cal Archie, if that is the case. If they've decided this late in the piece, hey, we're offering you a year, it might mean that they've got wind that, yeah, Cal Archie's out the door. Maybe. I don't know. So that's not good if true. It looks more and more likely that Sam Draper might actually be heading up north to us. Adelaide's re-signed Riley O'Brien, so it sort of tells me that they're out of the race. And Sammy Edmonds said that it's looking likely he's coming to us.
Is Draper a free agent?
Yes.
Okay, that was important because I wasn't 100% sure, and I'm sort of sitting there going, well, we don't have that much draft capital, so...
Yeah. I know, he's a free agent, Oscar Allen's a free agent. So, yeah, maybe, because, last week it looked all right, the two rucks. This week it looked poo-poo. Witts was great. Witts was huge.
Witts is great, though. Witts is so underrated, and I know that's
Yeah.
been thrown out a little bit just because the game was on, basically. But, I mean, if he's playing for any other club for the extent of time that he has over the past sort of 5 years, he'd be... Like if he played for Collingwood, I know he used to play for Collingwood, but if he's playing for one of the Melbourne clubs, he's winning an All-Australian jacket at some point in time in the past 5 years. Like, it just would have happened. So, one of those for the I don't know, fill that in category.
I don't know if we're going to stick with this two-ruck thing. I would have thought, Fags has been pretty like, oh no, it's horses for courses. If we think they've got two strong rucks, then we're going to play them. But, I didn't really think that about the Bulldogs. I didn't really think that about the Suns. He was bullish
about it in the press conference. I didn't like that.
Yeah, so I don't know why, because Sam Day has been good. He was good in the twos on the weekend. So
I think I honestly think it's an element of trying to get O back into the team. And I know I said a lot last week about, if we make a grand final, O will be there by hook or crook. But I don't think that on current form he should be. I wish that he was.
I think our best footy has been played with Ford in the ruck and Day up forward.
Yeah, which really sucks. But, unfortunately, it's not everybody's right to win a premiership or to be like a heavy contributor. And, it could be the sort of thing where, the opposite could happen as last year, where, Fort, Touchwood could go down in the prelim and then Oscar's coming in for a first up, they jab him full of needles.
Yeah.
So anything can really happen. But a few other people have asked questions about Henry Smith, and it's like, well, that doesn't really solve the problem because, if you're going to put one out, put one in, but then it's like you'd probably rather Sam Day to be anchoring the forward line because we saw, Witts did a really good, not Jared Witts, Michael Whitting, did a good piece on what Day does for the team structurally, and we haven't seen that in, a little bit.
Yeah.
So
I'll be very interested to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, our run home, we've spoken about it. We've failed our first test now. As I said,
failed our second test. To play the Bulldogs last week. It was.
I know, but we passed that one.
We passed the first test. We failed the second test. So
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
We had our first failure of the tests.
Yeah, and there's plenty more on the way. All right, let's get to some votes. Thanks to
we got belted. I will use any kind of semantic frustration to dial around this. Now I did solicit for people to bribe me for votes. No takers.
Sure.
So I guess I'm going to give one vote to Cam Rayner because he kicked some goals. I'll give 2 votes to Fletcher because he took a really good mark and I really like him and he signed a new contract. And I'll give 3 votes to Wilmot because he's such a friggin' legend and he's growing a beard, and also I probably haven't given him votes at other times in the season and he probably deserves them. So that's what I'm doing and I don't care.
Yeah, fair enough. My 3 and 2 are the same. And my 1 goes to Dunkley. I was actually really tempted to give him 3 because I thought he didn't stop trying the whole day. Like, his tackle numbers were, they're always superior, but they were up there again. And in a day where a lot of the guys, as I said, phoned it in, I thought he didn't stop trying. And having said that, the man he was supposed to be playing on absolutely blew us apart. So He does
Yeah,
really
I
good points
couldn't
there.
sincerely give any midfielder any votes.
Yeah, but having said that, Hugh was good in spurts. Neil was pretty alright across the day, but they were all just sort of okay, but at the same time got absolutely pantsed. So it was a bit strange. But that back six, save for Wilmot, that back six, that's as bad a day as they've had. Darcy Gardner was poor. Harris was poor. Lester was okay, didn't back it up. He's, great work from last week. Starcevic, as we said, he was absolute junk. Even Fletcher had his moments, and actually Berry had a pretty good game as well. I should mention Bez had a pretty good game. The Twos had a good win, so...
just before we go on, it's amazing to see our back six do so poorly when in this fixture last year we had no one. And,
I know.
I don't... make sense of that to me, James. Joke's on you. You already referred to me by my first name.
I know, it
so,
sucks.
Yeah.
Hipwood was actually pretty good across the day as well. I thought, he presented well. He got to a lot of contests. His work rate was pretty good. He just, he was never going to have a good game. But I thought, under the circumstances, he tried pretty hard across the day as well.
He still had one bona fide Hipwood moment where he went to handball and completely missed his hand with both balls, or missed the ball with both hands. The Twos, yes. I caught the last 5 minutes of it, and that was the best Lions football I saw all day.
Well, you know what? That because the rest of the game was pretty bad as well. It was Gold Coast led basically the entire game until the last sort of 5-10 minutes, where Jimmy Tunstall kicked a goal. Sam Day with a monster to ice it at the end there as well. Curtis McCarthy, who's Lincoln's younger brother, had a pretty bloody good game. He's putting together a couple of really good games, actually. Probably the highlight, though, Kitty and Duday both had really good games across the day. Shadow Brain was really good. Another game into Henry Smith, who you've sort of touched on there as well. So good to get games into those guys, and they, as I said, Duday and Kitty especially, were standout good, which was nice to see.
Did you see Jimmy Tunstall's goal?
Yes.
From the set shot goal from the square?
Yep.
What?
That's crazy. Yeah.
How is that allowed? That's like Jacob Ellison kind of territory. That sort of nonsense. Which there's one to pick out. But when? How is he doing that? And other players? I haven't seen anyone kick a goal from the square from a set shot since the 80s.
Yeah.
That's further than pit nets, and pit nets did a barrel. So, I don't know. That's the moment of the whole weekend for me.
And of course, games into Annabelle and my man Ty Printable as well. Annabelle had a pretty good game as well. Ty not so much, but he didn't get as many midfield minutes with Jimmy Tunstall back in the team and stuff. Yeah, so still pretty good. Brandon Ryan's playing some good footy. It's good to get some time into Henry Smith. So we'll see. We'll see if
it's important. It's important. It's a very important win because we just want that team to go as deep and as long as they can in the season to assist.
Yep.
We saw the benefit of it last year with the ability of them playing a prelim. We talked about it last week against Bulldogs that Payne was able to play in as a kind of a lead into him playing in whichever finals he played in. So I think the first one wasn't so good, but the rest of them were great.
Yeah. Well, Henry Smith 10 marks, which was good, and 6 tackles, 5 clearances as well. So didn't affect the scoreboard, but his work in the middle was really good. How's this for a stat though? Bruce Reville with 1 hit out.
Yeah, do you know what's weird is I'm an idiot. Obviously, we've established that, and I went back and looked at some of Michael Voss's stats on Footy Wire. That guy has a lot more hit outs than you'd think.
Sure.
9 or 11 or something like that. But that's way more than... It's not 1. So, I was just looking at it going, what was this goal about? Obviously, a lot of stats are missing because it was the 90s and the early 2000s, but he had a disproportionate number of hit-outs because third man up was a thing, but, funny, as it were. But the twos, good on them. It was good to see Day take marks and kick goals, and Brain had a good game from what, the snippets I saw.
He did have a good game. And the girls as well. Girls had their first hit out also against the Suns on the Friday night and absolutely smacked them. So good for them to get back on the park. I saw them doing drills, the game ends, and then they're out there doing shuttle runs at the end of the game as well. So really working on that fitness ahead of the next
welcome
season.
to pre-season. Sucked in.
Yeah, I know. Good for them to get a win and scratchy, but still. So let's get to changes and any changes you want to make, and probably some that we will. I don't know how bad that hamstring was that Connor McKenna did, but you'd imagine he comes out for Lohmann anyway, regardless of what the situation was. It really depends on what else you want to do here. There's players knocking on the door, as we've said. Do we bring Sam Day back in? Do we give Henry Smith a go? Do you give Kitty a shot? Do you give Dude a go? I don't think it's the time to start swinging the axe.
I primed you.
Yeah.
I primed you for this beforehand, and this is... I thought Zorko looked very sore when he's playing, and I think this is an opportunity this week. Not because I don't like Zorko, because I do, but he didn't really impact the game, which doesn't matter. I think they should rest him this week, and I think Coleman should play, and I think that Oscar should not play and Day should come in. And throw Rev as the sub.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, how hard is it to do the obvious thing that everyone wants? There will be no, everyone will be a bit sad not to see Marshall get in, but we talked a lot about that last week. Bruce the sub. Sod it. If you want to put Dude, it's like, put in Dude, put in Coleman, just sink or swim, get him in there. Take out Gardner if you want, have Lester play higher. I think that Collingwood's forward line is sort of less kind of super tall. Like, they got McStay, Myercheck, and Membry, but none of them, they don't play Cox at the same time. So the two ruck thing we shouldn't do because they're not playing Cox.
Well, I know we shouldn't do it, but we probably shouldn't have been doing it the last 2 weeks. So,
but if you're gonna preach horses for courses, you got to keep in mind when the course changes to needing a Pegasus rather than a traditional horse, and you saddle up the Pegasus.
Sure.
What do you think? I don't know. I'm getting abstract here.
Look, I don't know. I don't think there's going to be a host of changes. I think Lohmann for McKenna is easy. If Lohmann's calf is fine. I doubt they're going to rest Zorko, especially for Collingwood. I doubt they're going to do that.
He'll get to 300.
Yeah. He'll get to 300 regardless. I don't think it's about that. I think it's just he's so integral to our ball movement. And in a game where, not that we need to win. Well, I suppose we do need to win because top 4 is looking dicey at the moment. Even top 8 is really not a lock with the way the ladder's shaping up at the moment. We really do need to get as many wins in the lead up to finals as we can. At the very least, we need to show some sort of effort and put in a valiant performance after last week. So I don't think Zorko's going to get dropped or rested or managed.
No, but it's interesting when he's had a game where he's been, whether it was he was tagged out of it or whether it just wasn't the game for him, or because I heard that it was a Liz Frank that he had, and it's a bit debilitating, and he looked sore the back end of the Doggies game. So it's is it worth not seeing how this goes? Because we've been very, you predicted it last year. You said Zorko's the only player that can do what Coleman does. Yep. And now we're in the other situation where it's Coleman's really the only player that can do what Zorko does. And is resting Zorko for 1 week going to give you a 15% better Zorko for the next 4 games? I think it might, but they probably know that better than little old me.
I guess we'll see. I'm just having a look at... There's an article, and I was excited for a second, and I, not in a macabre way, fears over Pi's mid-knee injury. It was Lockie Sullivan, so it doesn't matter there. Bo McCreary will be out for them.
Who's Lockie Sullivan?
Yeah, exactly. So he's been sort of a fringe player, but played a bit more footy for them this year. They are going to probably welcome back Jordan De Goey and Bobby Hill, so a couple of handy inclusions for them. Pendlebury was a late out for them today as well, so you'd imagine he comes back. Nick Dacos, he had a stupid game today, video game numbers, which was pretty exciting for them. 42 touches, 910 metres gained, 3 goals. That's a pretty complete performance, and we paid him
couldn't crack
no respect.
We paid him no the 1 kilometre.
Easter.
He couldn't even crack the kilometre. What a peasant.
Righto, mate. We paid him no respect on Easter Thursday, so we probably need to do something about that. Same with Pendlebury as well. So, as we know, they've had the wood on us, especially down at the J.
Yeah. We sort of just have to win, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. It's pretty clear now. It's gone from... I mean, we've lost a bit of luxury with Adelaide deciding that they're going to be like a super awesome team. I can feasibly see Adelaide going out in straight sets regardless of their finish. I know that sounds weird, but I just think that lack of finals experience, it reads a lot like us from 7 years ago. So
yeah, very possibly. Very possibly. They do look the goods, though. I think everyone's best, like the Giants' best is really, really good. Our best is obviously very, very good. Collingwood's best is amazing. Adelaide's best is phenomenal.
Giants are very scary.
Yeah.
Because I think, yeah, we they've definitely had the wood over us, aside from that final, which, magic. So that's not happening anytime soon. So, there's a lot of teams that are a bit scary, but I think... Yeah, we'll wait and see. I think looking at some of this, like, as you sort of said, video game percentage numbers for these other teams, and I can see us sort of winning like 72 to 61 in like 2 finals and being like, oh, well, sorry. We just do finals better than you. Which we should.
Yes, we should. 7 years in a row now, or whatever it is, of making finals. So I tell you what, though, if that draw is helping us out big time now, because if we had lost that to the North, and we, let's be honest, should have, we'd be sitting in 7th right now. So that is really come in handy, that extra 2 points. So that might be what it is that separates us in the end. So we need to pull our fingers out a little bit here. Obviously some very tough games. Freo's best is pretty good as well. Freo's best is pretty good. I'm not so worried about the Suns, and I know that sounds stupid considering they just pulled our pants down, and not as worried about the Hawks, which also sounds stupid because aside from earlier this year, they've had the number on us as well. So Geelong are always scary as well. They've got plenty of finals experience.
Yeah, fucking 11 goals. What's going on here? Like, what? I don't know. There's just... I feel like these key forwards, they can't keep getting away with it into finals, Traditionally, they can't, and, maybe they won't. What should we do some questions? Or should we...
Yeah, let's get to some questions. I'm just having a cheeky look at the Discord now for the Fancast questions. All right. Yeah, there's been a bit of I want to see Smith in the team. So, yeah, let's have a chat about this. The questions, thanks to Chris Communications. chriscoms.co, giving you free Brisbane Lions Fancast stickers. Oh, just quickly as well, massive shout-out to the people that tipped us in our tip jar, bought us a coffee, that sort of stuff. So, Chris and to Danielle and Shane, to you 3 guys, thank you so much. It doesn't matter how much you throw in, it all is super appreciated, and you can do that at our website, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au. So to Shane, Chris, and to Danielle, thank you so much. That's amazing, you guys. All right, the Chris Coms questions. Nath, so the 2 rucks don't seem to be working. Henry Smith has put together a couple of good games in the 2s. My question is, has he put his hand up for selection, or is that too risky this time of year? Should we be looking to reverting back to Day with either the 1 ruck? Oscar or Darcy. Oscar or Darcy forward.
Yeah, we touched on it before. I think there's an element of it being, to me, that's sort of answering your own question. If there's Henry Smith doesn't really change the complexion of the ruck situation. He's still doing 2 rucks because he is still a ruckman first and a forward second. Whereas I think having that forward first, ruck second, whilst letting them kind of get on with it is probably the better way. What do you think, James?
Yeah. I just think it's way too late in the season to be really pissing around with our structure, and I feel like we're doing that anyway. It's like we committed to the forward ruck day as, the forward second ruck, and then only in the last couple of weeks we've just decided to go, actually, 2 rucks. Why not? And yes, it worked 1 week against the Dogs. It didn't work against Carlton, but we got the win, so it was sort of glossed over a little bit. This week it really didn't work, and it was obvious to see. And we're coming up against a very good ruckman in Darcy Cameron as well, so we'll see what happens there. I don't want to be pissing around with it too much. I think ideally just go back to, as I said, our best footy is Darcy Ford as the ruck and Sam Day is the second option. So I guess that's where I'm at.
I think it's O's kind of work at ground level's not quite been where it's been previously, because that had always been his kind of his unorthodox gangled style was always a bit of like a novelty of like, whoa, what's going to happen here? And now it's like he's not going to get the ball. Damn. I feel bad for him. He looks really laboured. It's kind of that Daniel Rich fall off a bit this year, which I understand he hasn't really had a good go at it, but it feels like it's a shell of the player that you've watched and enjoyed watching.
It's really disheartening.
Is his back problem a broken heart, or is it,
It sucks. I hate it so much. Danielle, have you seen Eddie Maguire's proposal for the fixture? And if you have, what are your thoughts? I haven't actually seen this because...
Fuck, I was expecting you to have seen it, because I too haven't seen it. Should we...
I can't be doing with Eddie Maguire anymore because all he wants is like the best money thing, and him and Hutchie are just like, well, what makes the most sense for money? Because money... And I don't care anymore about what he has to say because I'm just done with Eddie Maguire and his ideas to fix the game that, I don't know, whatever. I know I'm not going to go watch it, but I assume it's nonsense.
What if it's really good?
And maybe it is.
Because I think a lot of the stuff that he had said, now this is going back like more than a year, about umpires and that sort of stuff, was always pretty more on the money than not. And I also agree quite a bit with his like drug policy chat, but I don't know if he's like pro drugs this year. I don't know. So
Eddie Maguire every week is the same about the drugs, and he keeps talking about the underworld, and it's like, oh, deals with the underworld and drugs, and it's like, we got to fix it every week on Footy Classifieds. Like, mate, you say this every week. Shut up. Come up with some new material.
And that's why I don't watch Footy Classified anymore. But I mean, I suppose some of the Jamara stuff probably pays dividends with potential overlappings with that, because who gets multiple cars stolen and just is like, that's fine.
Yeah,
not me. I've only got one, and that car necessary.
Nate's second question is what are we going to do about Dacos this week? Because obviously he just did a number today. He had fun with us last time as well. So Dunkley.
I was thinking
Berry.
Blunderbuss. It's like a big cannon. Just big cannon, sure. Blow him up.
I thought, speaking of Berry and tagging jobs and stuff, I thought Berry did all right on Anderson in the second half across the weekend.
Yeah.
The damage was done, but I thought after that it was okay. Yeah,
well, Anderson had done a number on Ashcroft. As poor a game I've seen Ashcroft play, and it was his 50th, yeah. So do better. Same with Levi too. You're gonna lose the rising star to Curtin or that other guy. But I mean, none of it really matters. But yeah, Dacos is. What can you do? You just have to be more physical with him. Been saying this for 3 years. Be more physical. He does not like it at all, and he gets whingy and pissy when you do. So, Rayner, run through him again. Don't say the thing about him getting the next touch, because he tried to play for a free kick first and then realised it wasn't happening. It was like that soccer player who's like covering his eyes, having a look, peeking. That was me talking through my hands for anyone wondering. Physical heat and make it uncomfortable for him. If he wants that ball, he's got to earn it. Although he never earns it because he's a handball receive player, so whatever.
Yeah, fair enough. All right,
you're so done with me at this stage.
No, I don't know. It's not been a good weekend for footy. It's going to be one of those weeks where I avoid, footy shows, 360 agenda says. I'm just going to avoid it all.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. Agenda Setters never talks about the Lions anyway, so...
That's true.
Tipping. Right, okay.
Yeah, let's get to some tipping. I did all right this week. The only one I got wrong was I tipped Brisbane. Everything else came in.
Yeah, likewise. What was your margin?
My margin was, 24 points.
Did you do 24?
I did 24.
Jeez, I did 26 and thought I'd pure got away with one because as that game was going on, I was thinking, why didn't I tip them by 100?
No, I tipped them.
Yes, I also got 9.
You got 9?
Yeah, horrible week of football.
You got 8 then.
Oh, sorry, 8. Sorry, 8.
I was going to say, there's no way you tipped Gold Coast.
No, that was never going to happen. I just got the number in my brain wrong. Bulldogs and Giants at Marvell.
Giants.
I
don't know why the Bulldogs are such heavy favourites here.
Because people see Dogs, Marvel, home, whatever.
Yeah, but people should see Dogs team above them and... Ooh.
Yeah, they should, but they never do. Now...
How's the way Giants put on 9 bloody goals in quarter 3?
What do you think of Toby Green at halftime?
Yeah, well, I can't stand Tom Papley, so fine.
I thought it was quite funny, just the fact that is exactly the reason why you should not be interviewing players as they're coming off the field. Because that guy he does not want to have an interview, and he's not even really listening to Benjamin as he's trying to give the interview. He does not care one iota. So, and it also turned out to be true. So, he will miss though.
Yes. All right, Crows. Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, I'm tipping the Crows, but I think Hawthorn will win.
Right.
But we need a bit of spice.
Melbourne West Coast at Marvel Stadium. Yuck. Melbourne.
Yeah. Richmond will probably win, which will be funny.
You know what? Aside from the Giants, I'm going the home teams, and yes, that does include Collingwood people.
You're a coward. You're a coward. An understandable coward. So, are you not going to tip Carlton to continue their rambunctious run against Fremantle, where they always beat Fremantle?
No.
Cripps to have 45 touches and get 17 Brownlow votes for one game?
No, I'm not going to tip that.
I put the margin at 10 for the Giants, and I tipped the Lions because I said earlier on if people tip Collingwood against the Lions, they should go in the bin. And
well, call me Oscar the Grouch, mate, because I'm in the bin.
Yeah, fair enough. Get on with the wheel.
Yeah. All right, get on with the wheel. He says so. Let's do the wheel. It's my turn to pass or hold this week.
Yeah, how did we go last week? Oh.
I'm gonna swiftly pass on Clay Beams, and I'll leave that to you. I'm pretty confident in my choice here because I've got Marcus Ashcroft. And
put in an extra one for just Marcus Ashcroft's scrotum. It'd probably be a good job.
Yeah, I think we should when we do build that new stadium at Victoria Point, just a statue of the left and right nut there of Marcus Ashcroft out the front would be good.
You could have the Ashcroft pocket.
Yeah.
That kind of works, I guess. Clay Beams, not a lot of data to be found on this chap.
I'm surprised he played 50 bloody games, because anyone on that wheel is someone that's played 50 games.
Yeah, well, as I said last week, there were some dire times for having VFL caliber players playing in the ones.
He played 54. He's just got over the line.
He's scraped through. Now, Clay Beams has the one key distinction of not being Dane Beams, which makes him the best Beams by a long way. He didn't do a lot in his career. There's a couple of tough moments. He's a bit nuggetier than Dane.
Good kick, though, Clay
Clan
Beams.
Beam. Was he? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was a great kick.
Yeah. Yeah, look. Obviously, the osmosis of talking about Dane Beams is going to stick with this. But in a situation where, and I'm not going to talk about Dane coming to the Lions, but going from the Lions after 2018. Now, Clay Beams, I believe, stayed in Brisbane, and he ended up playing for Sherwood or Kenmore or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, he went and played for Sherwood.
So, to me, that doesn't quite add up. I guess go your own way, Dane, if you wanted to go back to Melbourne to be with family or whatever, but Clay didn't want to borrow that. So, that's all I've really got to say about Clay Beams. Better bloke than Dane, also isn't a shit part-time artist.
Handy cricketer as well, Clay Beams. I don't know if he's still playing down at Southport, but yeah, very, very handy cricketer. So, good for him. He's certainly not Marcus Ashcroft, though. And up until Simon Black, he was the games record holder. Over 300 games across the Bears and the Brisbane Lions. 3 premierships. I mean, one of the great wingmans in the 90s. And as we've mentioned, gave birth to 2 beautiful boys that are going to take us into the future.
Yeah. This he did a lot of good work at the Bears beforehand, and then he was kind of more of a kind of quintessential role player. You know, when by the time the premierships rolled around, he was able to fulfill his role and enable insane morons to do crazy things, which was good. Yeah. So he's the second game person-y guy, right? Black's first, he's second.
I'd say so. And I guess Zorko will if he plays on next year, will probably overtake that.
Yeah, well, McCluggage will overtake that and change eventually.
So Marcus finished on 318 games. So if Zorko plays on next year and plays majority of the season, then he will overtake that. I don't know if he'll catch Blackie, though. Because what did he finish on?
I think 330 something.
322. 322. So maybe, actually.
Yeah, he could do, yeah. Could do if we go deep and he plays, but if you know, I wouldn't be worried about trying to beat Simon Black if I was Zorko, because McCluggage is going to blow them all out eventually. So followed by Fletcher and Wilmot. So I mean, Ashcroft joins an exclusive club of last game grand final victories, which I think is cool. Such classics as Joe Danaher. I think everyone else played on in 03, right?
Yeah, I mean, there might have been a few sort of fringies that left, but yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to. They probably didn't play 50 games, so no point in thinking about him. But no, he was a workhorse. He had a beautiful tank. He was you know.
And he's not Dane Beams.
He's not Dane Beams, which makes him better than Clay Beams. I don't know.
Yeah.
So obviously we gave a lot of love to Daniel Rich last week. How was the kind of the
a
voting?
lot of people got on board with that, especially in the comments. Big fans of Daniel Rich and his left foot, and obviously We tracked down, actually, well, we didn't track down the person responsible for that video of him kicking all those goals from outside 50 was actually part of our Discord. So
regular
Guavocado
contributor.
there. Yeah, huge contributor. So he's added to that. I've downloaded that updated version of Daniel Rich kicking 50 plus meter goals. So very happy with that.
To keep you company on cold, lonely nights, I would assume. Yeah, beautifully. But Harris obviously won, right?
I don't know, actually. Yeah, I did get lots.
I feel like if Harris wasn't having possibly his worst season this season,
it's weird though because there's been a few sort of like running all Australian teams pop up, and Harris has been in there, and I thought he's really not having that good of a year compared to some of his others.
No, is anyone watching our games? Like, I don't think he's been bad, and I don't mind these free kicks up the ground, but I don't know how we got talking about Harris Andrews, but I don't mind the free kicks up the ground, but at the same time, it's like, he just seems like a beat off. I was having an interesting thought the other day. I don't know when it was, but I was thinking, because we went into the 2023 grand final with 2 key forwards. I think it was just thinking about the ruck situation and the backup ruck and all of that stuff that was going on. I'm sort of thinking it might have been because Gunston was doing all right or something, and you're sitting there going, well... And I reckon if we had a third, like a Logan Morris type, or if we had a third key forward in 2023, we win that grand final. And I'll tell you why. By only playing the two key forwards, when Nathan Murphy went down with concussion, they were not forced to send Frampton back.
Sure.
And I think if we had had another key, they would have had to have done that, and Harris would have impacted the game far more than he did. So that was just a little tidbit thought. So we can blame Jack Gunston for that.
Or Dan McStay, who decided he wanted to leave the year before and would have been that third key as well. Who knows?
But I mean, I'm willing to blame Jack Gunston because it's trendy or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Hasn't he decided to play good footy again?
Has he though? I don't even know. I don't. We'll find out next week, I guess.
All right, I think that's enough. That was a bad weekend of footy, and as I said at the start of the episode, I'm just interested to see how we're going to respond, especially against Collingwood.
Yep, I had so many elbow cracks then, so it's a good way to end it, whilst me dislocating multiple limbs.
All right, we'll see you all next week. Go Lions.
Goodbye, James.
Goodbye, Patrick.